the risks are real, and I understand them. I'm not going to sit here and say like, it's easy to step away, or it's easy to not get on the starting block when you have a man next to you, because I know it's not. And I know that's a huge ask, but that is what it's going to take.
You know, I think there's been a theme over the past year. We have people invading our border. We have men invading female spaces. It's about the year of the invader, right? And the deceptors. And the deception is so much that I feel as though I'm living in upside down land. Remember when deception used to be frowned upon, when you pretended to be something you weren't and you were playing people? That was something that society shunned. It appears that that isn't happening anymore, but more and more we're waking up. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about how we don't even understand the science anymore between men and women. And I'm talking on the bigger scale. Maybe you and I do. But the people that are trying to twist the minds of our children, they don't. And they don't care. They don't care. Did you ever think you would need to fight to keep men out of girls' sports? I mean, seriously, this is so crazy that we have to fight. We have to waste the precious time we have on this planet Earth to try to keep men out of women's and girls' sports. Was this something you even thought about like 10 or 15 years ago? Like, I didn't even think about it. Like, I never thought it was going to happen. I'm sure you didn't. I wasn't thinking that, you know, giant men would all of a sudden want to jump into women's swimming. Guess who I have on the show today? I've got Riley Gaines. And she's going to break it down for us. But this wasn't something that I even thought about. You even thought about. I wasn't going to waste my life fighting over that, because I thought we had that pretty much clear cut in the United States now. You know, women had their own sports teams, and men too. And, you know, we were able to, you know, settle that argument, settle it. Right. And it was a long, hard fought battle for women. For me, this is a personal issue. I know it is for a lot of you out there, especially moms. I talk to you all the time. My friends, you're people I care about. You are so worried about what is happening with your daughters and being able to protect them in a world that is continually trying to rob them. And by the way, rob our young men from being strong men. And that's something that Riley is going to talk about in detail. You're not going to want to miss this show. You know, my friend and author, he is a friend and he is an author. His name is Gad Saad, and I've had him on the show before. He calls what is happening now, he has a book called The Parasitic Mind, and he calls what is happening now idea pathogens. These are viruses that are infecting our society, infecting you, infecting me. Every time we turn around, we have to watch another commercial with a guy that uses tampons or something. Like, what? What is happening? It's upside down. Or I go into Ulta or, into Sephora or into Target. I saw it there where, all of a sudden you're walking around and in the women's makeup section, like the biggest poster and the most predominant poster is of a man wearing makeup. And I'm like, I associate nothing with the guy with the 5 o'clock shadow wearing makeup. Nothing. Like, that does not make me want to buy makeup. It doesn't make me want to walk through your aisle. It doesn't make me happy. I just left my husband at home. And if my husband was sitting in front of a mirror wearing makeup, I probably wouldn't wear it ever again. I would just be like, I throw my hands up in the air, guys. I'm done. I'm walking the other direction. Thankfully, Marty has never done that once. And it's like when you turn on the television, I don't know if this happens to you, and your kids are watching television. We don't have Disney Plus anymore in our household, but every commercial or every TV show, supposedly kids TV show, has gay everything in it, has gay relationships, talks about transgender is influencing our children. Why not just let them be kids? I don't even want to see anything about heterosexual sex. I just, just let it be. Let's let our children be children. Why do we want to rob them of that? Why do we want to rob their childhood? I mean, my mom used to say all the time, it's like I can still hear her in my head. God rest her soul. I miss her so much. But I don't know if your parents would ever say this, but my mom would say to me, your children are only young so little time of their life. She would say that with a really thick Cuban accent. And sometimes you might not get the whole picture when she said it, but I would get it. She would say they're young only for this small period of their life. Let them sleep in a little bit. Let them be kids. Let them play outside and get dirty and run around and, ride their bikes all afternoon in the morning sun, or, all afternoon, I guess, and in the morning sun. Let them go outside and play. Let them be children. But we're not doing that anymore. We're forcing our kids to grow up too fast. It's causing depression. It's causing for them to give up a lot on their dreams. You could see it even in school. A lot of children are, suffering as far as their grades are concerned. There's a lot of children in the United States that have been diagnosed with multiple depression problems, anxiety issues. Well, no wonder. Look at what we have done to our children. We basically locked them down in a world of insane adults where the crazies are literally running the institution. And they have no one to give them boundaries unless it's you, unless you're paying attention, unless you're asking the right questions, unless you're defending them. Remember, there is a bigger world out there that is trying to take them away from you, away from God, away from normalcy. And these people are evil. And they do not care about your children. They do not care about you. They do not care about this country. And they are fundamentally trying to change it. I have a young female athlete in my family. I'm so proud of her. Our youngest daughter, Annalise, she runs cross country. She's playing tennis now. She does gymnastics. She loves sports. And sports and competition, they are an amazing way to teach children and young people, about hard work, responsibility, getting up in the morning. And believe me, she does. When she's in cross country, we have to drop her off here in Texas very, very early. She has to be up like 4:30, 4:45 in the morning, and she is dropped off by 6 a.m. to do her runs. And she does it every single day, and it makes her go to bed early. It just makes her a better person. But she's worried. She sees all these commercials and news shows, and she talks about what happened to Riley Gaines. And by the way, she's very excited about Riley Gaines' new book, and we'll talk about that as well. Her new Brave book. She's a Brave author now. So excited. So we're part of the same Brave family. But Riley Gaines, isn't the only, she's now become a major center, a spokesperson defending young women and I would say young boys from the insanity of this world. But young girls are watching, and they're nervous, and they're worried about their future and the role that they play and what they mean to not only to their, to their school, but to society as a whole, especially if they're being abandoned and men are being allowed to play against them in their own sports. I care about the values of the next generation. And that's why I have Riley Gaines on the show, and why she is fighting for girls' sports, and for more than just that, to end this ideological pathogen this wokeness that is literally, I believe, based on evil. It is destroying our nation. It is destroying our families. And I want to share this very exciting conversation with you today. But first, I want to tell you about Goldco, folks. Goldco. This administration wants you taxed to the brink. And you know that. You're seeing what's happening with the stock market. You're watching what's going on with inflation. And under the thumb of the IRS, that's what they want. That's what the Biden administration wants. And they want to control with a digital dollar. That's why thousands of hardworking, patriotic Americans, including myself, are turning to Goldco. Right now, the current offer is amazing. You get a free 2024 Gold Kit. Learn how to possibly get $10,000 right now in bonus silver as a listener of this show. They've helped people like you and me place over $3.5 billion in gold and silver. That's just incredible. Protect your family's financial future and freedom. Get started today at Sara, S-A-R-A, Likes Gold, SaraLikesGold.com. Get your free gold kit from Goldco and learn how to get $10,000 in bonus silver. SaraLikesGold.com. That's S-A-R-A Likesgold.com. That's SaraLikesGold.com. I'm so happy to have you on the show, Riley. This is Riley Gaines, folks. You know her. You love her. She is saving your children, and you're a 12-time All-American swimmer at the University of Kentucky. You're the host of the Gains for Girls, which is so exciting podcast, and an advisor at the Independent Women's Forum. Independent Women's Voice and Forum is an organization that I absolutely love, and I always try to attend their events, and I've done a lot of events with them, Riley. So I think that's just awesome. And most of all, and the reason why I have you here today, especially, is because you are the author of a brand new, brave book, Happy No Snakes Day. Happy No Snakes Day. And guess what? I'm so excited because my daughter is thrilled. She just got it in the mail. So she's super.
Oh my gosh.
She collects all of them. She loves the Brave books, and she's 11, and she's just like, she has every single one of them, including mine, but she's like so excited about yours.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for being on the show today.
Well, thank you. You are just a role model to me, so I could not be more excited to be on with you. Two strong women, right?
Oh yeah, that's it.
What scares the left more?
I totally agree. I am so grateful to have so many more, I believe, conservative voices, young women as well, just who have like deep-seated beliefs, and they're not afraid to speak out and to stand up for what is right. And that's what you've really done, Riley. You were able to take on this culture, this new kind of woke ideological culture that has like really turned our nation upside down, and particularly in women's sports. But it's affected young girls all across the globe. I mean, this is not something that, I'm in all serious now, this is not something that we should have even allowed to get this far. I'm going to ask you this question. No. How do you think this happened? Were we didn't think it was real? Were we ignoring it? What was going on?
You know, I think a little bit of both. I think a lot of us, including myself, honestly, and kind of ashamed to admit it, like, I just thought this was an issue that would never affect me.
Right.
So why would I really care, right? Like, I had my head down. I was focused on myself and my academics and my athletic success and, you know, my relationships with my friends and my now husband. I wasn't worried about what was going on outside of what I was personally doing on a day-to-day basis. And then I was impacted by this. And I realized, I have just been this past 2 years or so, I have been eye-opened beyond belief. I look back, you know, I was so naive. But now seeing all that we see that's going on around our country, these cultural issues that are plaguing America, in regard to the removal of parental rights, the safeguarding of children, of course, these anti-woman, really the erasure of women that we're seeing from the hands and feet of our own federal government, the people at the tippy top who are leading us down this slippery slope. I've been eye-opened spiritually to just understand how much of these cultural battles really are I mean, it's spiritual warfare without a doubt. So I think now that I see it, how can you unsee it? How can you turn a blind eye? And so I think what we need to do a better job of is relaying this message, spreading awareness to everyone, because if each and every person waited until they were directly impacted in some adverse way by this gender ideology movement, or again, really any of these cultural issues we're seeing, if each and every one of us waited until we were directly impacted, then it's too late. Which is why I've really dedicated my time to, whether that be through the means of a children's book and kind of reaching a younger audience here in a very non-partisan, non-political way, right? The children's book, Happy No Snakes Day, is merely about speaking the truth, which every child could benefit from learning. Or whether that's speaking on college campuses or in different state legislatures at the federal level, testifying before Congress, really trying to spread awareness and share the severity and the harm and the increased likelihood of this overall attack on women, war on women, really.
And that's really what it is. It is a war on women. But you brought something that I've said to my husband over and over again, and especially with our children. We have 6 children. Our youngest is 11. We have a son who's 17, and we raise our boys to have this utmost respect for women and to appreciate women and what women do in their own right as separate from them, right? And my 11-year-old daughter had brought it up as well, but you talk about this spiritual warfare, and it really does feel that way. It feels like it's an attack on our spirit, on our soul, on our beliefs. And you could see the impact of that in young girls, especially when I look at my 11-year-old and she's playing tennis now. She's been in gymnastics for years. She's kind of like in a state of shock. Like, what happens, mommy, if a boy wants to play against me? Like, she's thinking like she's strong and she's one of our tallest kids, but she is not built to play against a boy in sports. It's like an attack on her.
Totally. And to your point about the spiritual piece, it's abundantly clear. Paul warns us actually several times throughout the Bible, in Acts and Romans and different places. He tells us we will reach a point where good is seen, or bad is seen as good, bitter is seen as sweet, dark is seen as light, evil is seen as moral. And it's undeniable that that's not what we're seeing now. And look, that's not me saying that, I believe people who are trans or identify as trans are evil. No. Right. But deception is evil, and manipulation is evil, and temptation is evil, and affirming lies and delusions, that's evil. And that's exactly how Satan moves. That's how he works, is through deceptions and lies and temptation. So again, it's very obvious. And yeah, your younger daughter, what we're seeing is these girls are being discouraged to play their sport entirely. I thought it was so ironic, almost comical, the other day watching the Super Bowl. Dove has an ad, and it's about keeping girls in girls' sports. And so I saw this ad. It was kind of cryptic, right? They had a swimmer as their kind of protagonist in the film in the locker room. And so I thought to myself, is this a company who's kind of siding with women and saying men should not be in women's sports? And I go to their page on social medias. Of course, they're not that company. Dove has outwardly expressed their support and admiration for males who are taking opportunities away from women. And I clicked on it, and of course, they had a bunch of replies hidden. And I look at the hidden replies, and every single reply that Dove, the brand, the soap brand, had hidden from their social media mentioned something to the effect of saving women's sports. It's just funny, right? It's like a Saturday Night Live skit, or like a Babylon Bee headline, or like a South Park episode, where you have a company says they want to keep girls in girls' sports, but the most effective way to do that is to keep boys out of girls' sports.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not being afraid to stand up. And we're all these feminists that we've worked, that apparently worked so hard for women's rights in the 60s and 70s. And yet they never speak up. They never speak up for women's rights. As men come in, we saw that in golf. I mean, I was stunned when I saw I can't even remember his name right now, but the golfer.
Haley Davidson.
Yeah, there you go. And he came on, and he's in a skirt, Because he is a man. He is a giant man who could not win in the men's sporting event. So he jumps in my opinion, into the women's sporting event. But we don't see anyone saying, well, wait a minute, let's stand up for these young girls. Let's stand up for women's rights. Let's stand up for them and their right to be involved in sports and have fair competition among women. Nobody does it.
Yeah. No, not the feminists, to your point, right? Like, you think of someone like Billie Jean King,
right,
who we really have to accredit Title IX to. I mean, she played in the Battle of the Sexes and she won, and it was this huge feat in the 70s. Here we are 52 years later, and Billie Jean King is actively fighting for male inclusion in women's sports. And you think of organizations like NOW, right? The National Organization of Women, the leading feminist organization. They are now the ones who are leading the charge in dismantling single-sex spaces for women. But it's really not just limited to asking ourselves, where are the feminists? I think, almost more importantly, we should be asking ourselves the question of where are the men? Where are the strong men? Where are the dads? Where are these coaches? Where are these men in powerful leadership positions who are willing to defend their daughters? We, as a nation, are in a plummet because of failed male leadership.
Do you think men are scared now? Do you think they're just scared? Like they just don't want to say anything because, if I say something, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to be ostracized or the neighbors won't like me. What the heck is going on with these guys?
Here's what I think. I've put a lot of thought to this and kind of just really trying to understand history, because as we know, history repeats itself. And so this isn't the first time we've had a society full of weak men. And I'm thinking, and there's a cycle, right? And it's hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. It's undeniable that we're in the part of the process now where weak men have created hard times. I think back to the last time we had a society full of strong men, and I think of the 1940s. During World War II, you had men actively lying about their age, saying they were older than what they really were so they could enlist and fight for this country.
Yet
80 years later.
My dad, exactly. Riley, I had an older father. My dad was a World War II vet and he was a Korea vet. And he literally enlisted, I think he just turned 16 when he went to war.
That's a strong man.
Yeah.
That's a strong man. And you wouldn't see that now. Now, 80 years later, instead of seeing men lying about their age, saying they're older than what they really are, so they could fight. I mean, the patriotism behind that. Now, 80 years later, you're seeing men lie about their sex so they can get into women's sports and women's prisons and women's sororities and women's bathrooms, whatever it is. It's a telltale sign that these I guess, good times create weak men. These weak men have created these hard times.
I love fast growing trees and I can't wait for spring because I'm going to be planting again. And guys, this is the best place to buy your plants. There's nothing more exciting than seeing them come to your front door, right? Come to your front door where you could open your boxes and find your beautiful fig trees and lemon trees and lime trees. And I'm just so excited, and I'll be planting them with you on Instagram. Did you know Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery in the US with more than 10,000 different kinds of plants and over 2 million happy customers in the United States? You can grow avocado, olive, or fig trees inside your home on top of the wide variety of houseplants available. Fast Growing Trees makes it easy to order online, and your plants are shipped directly to your door in 1 to 2 days. And along with their 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee, they offer free plant consultation forever. And I can tell you this, I absolutely love them. I love my banana trees. I love my lemons. I love my limes. I love my avocados and my fig trees. And I'm so excited. And I get tons of lemon off my lemon trees. It's so exciting. I can't wait to share that all with you. Right now, they have the best deals online, up to half off on select plants. Plus, when you use code Carter, CARTER at checkout, you save an additional 15%. Go to fastgrowingtrees.com. Be sure to use code Carter, CARTER at checkout for an additional 15% off. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code CARTER. Offer is valid for a limited time. Tell them we sent you. Hello there. Make sure you're subscribed to the show down below. It really helps us out. Thank you. Let me ask you this. What about the parents? I mean, we need parents too, together, bonded together to stand up, to go to the schools, to say, hey, no way, we're not going to allow this to happen anymore. Are you seeing more parents stand up to this?
Yes. Day by day, I think parents are waking up because, again, they're being impacted by this. Their children are being affected and indoctrinated, for lack of a better word. So I do think, we're reaching this point where the tide is certainly turning. I think parents are waking up. I think
What
parents
about coaches?
who maybe wouldn't have been.
What about coaches? Are they just?
We've seen an increase in coaches who are willing to they're in a hard position. I've talked to several coaches who obviously aren't on board with what's happening to women's sports, but they feel as if they were to step away, they're leaving their team open to then getting a coach who will conform. So they're in this hard position. Like, I don't want to abandon my athletes or these girls or even male athletes. I don't want to abandon my team, but I feel like I can't continue to go on with the lie. So they're in a hard position, understandably. And really, like, the threats and the risk, they're real. My coach at University of Kentucky, who coached there for 10 years, was fired for supporting me.
That's just incredible.
I mean, the risks are real, and I understand them. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, it's easy to step away or it's easy to not get on the starting block when you have a man next to you, because I know it's not. And I know that's a huge ask, but that is what it's going to take.
I think that's what we need to do. I keep saying that, women have to bond together as a team and say, guess what? We're not going to run this race, or we're not going to swim this race, or we're not going to play this golf game right now. You want to go out there and play, go by yourself.
Exactly.
And, someone will say, well, what about the money involved? I say, there's not going to be any money involved if one person is out there and it's deception. Like you said, it's a man, it's not a woman. It's not going to be there. The money will not be there if we walk away from it. I wanted to ask you this. I mean, I wonder if the tide's shifting, especially after what happened in Ohio, where the legislature passed that bill that kept boys out of girls' sports, and it even overrode the Governor DeWine's veto on that. I mean, do you feel it's shifting? The tide is coming more on your end?
I really do. To your point, like, 24 states have enacted some sort of fairness in women's sports bill, which only 3 years ago, one state had. So lots of momentum, lots of traction. And I think that's what we need to continue doing, is putting pressure on these cowards, whether they have an R or a D by their name, putting pressure on them. I was just in New Mexico yesterday, where I had asked Governor Grisham, who's a female, she's a woman, she's spoken up about, protecting women against violence and protecting women's opportunities before. And so she's a Democrat, but I figured, this is a woman who seems to care for women. I would love to meet with her. I would love to share with her what's going on in her own state to shed light. So I reached out to her, asked for a meeting. She told me she didn't have time to meet with me. So I said, no worries, I'm still coming. So I go to New Mexico. I'm at the state house, the state capitol. I'm standing on the steps of the Capitol with signs, will Grisham stand with women? We're putting her feet to the fire. She needs to put her money where her mouth is. She says women's rights are a priority, yet are they? Are they really to her? That's what we have to do. We have to hold them accountable, and we have to call out their hypocrisy. Whether that's at the state level, whether that's at the federal level, whether that's locally, which, let me be the first to say, local politics are the most important politics, based off of what I've seen over the past 2 years. It all starts locally, whether that's school boards, whether that's each specific county. Get involved in whatever way and capacity you can, because that's where it's all stemming from.
I absolutely agree with you. I think it starts local and then it goes up. I mean, if you don't have local solidified, if you don't have the people on the ground in the school boards, in the local community, I guess, unified against this type of action, which would be allowing men into women's sports, then you've already lost, because it's never going to make its way up to the top. And I love the fact that you just show up anyways and you're like, hey, wait a minute. You say you don't have time to answer my questions, but let's talk about this. I'm not walking away from this today. I think that's silence. I always tell everyone this every time I give a speech. I say, silence is our enemy's greatest weapon against us. It's our silence.
Of course.
Our silence. And the minute we're quiet is the minute they walk all over us. I wanted to ask you about Martina Navratilova. Just this week, she said women's sports are not a place for failed male athletes. She got a lot of backlash, of course. How much of a factor do you think that is in all of this? That these are just guys that they just figured out, oh, you know what? Mm-mm.
That's what we're being subjected to, honestly, is the rules and the policies and the systems that are in place are meant to and will be 100% taken advantage of, whether that's sports, whether that's, excuse me, I mentioned prisons a minute ago. Do you understand in California prisons, there were over 1,600 men apply to be women to get into women's prisons? And you know how many women applied to be men to get into men's prisons?
I would like to say zero.
One. And she had 3 months she had 3 months left of her sentence. So she went to a men's prisons for 3 months and then was out. But these men, they understand they get lesser charges. They understand California taxpayers are paying for their surgeries and hormones. It's ridiculous. And
haven't they also impregnated
in
female
California,
prisoners?
New Jersey, Ohio, Kansas. I mean, the list goes. New York. In New York, they have posted placards in their all women's prisons about pregnancy prevention. And you know what they did last week in California prisons during the Super Bowl? Everyone was distracted. They came in overtime after hours and implemented in the women's facilities condoms and dental dams, which not only is allowing rapes to happen, it's encouraging these men to rape women.
So I feel like I live in an upside down world,
Because
like on a
we do.
planet. Yes, on the most bizarre level. And like the people that are sane, the people that have common sense, the people that are protecting our children, protecting our traditions, our athletes, are the ones that are being ostracized. You've been threatened. You have literally been threatened. Talk a little bit about that. And are you worried? I mean, I'm sure you are.
I mean, I am. I mean, there are times I fear for my life. I've been spit on. I've had drinks poured on me. I've had glass bottles thrown at me. I've had people show up at my house. Just in New Mexico, there's a whole slew of protesters who were calling me a murderer and a domestic terrorist and a fascist, and I have blood on my hands. I've been physically assaulted. I've been punched. I've been held for ransom through the night in San Francisco by hundreds of protesters demanding that if I wanted to make it home to see my family safely again, I had to pay them money. I mean, it's crazy, the vitriol and honestly the violence that we're up against for saying something as simple. Let me reiterate, something as simple as men and women are different. That should tell you all you need to know right there, right? If they are willing to go to those lengths to threaten and intimidate and silence you, it shows they have nothing on their side to dissuade from our stance other than shouting and petty personal attacks and name calling and again, physical violence, which is why I feel strong. Honestly, it's why I feel confident, that on top of my faith that keeps me grounded. Truth will always prevail and sanity will always prevail. It's just a matter of when. So we need strong voices in the meantime to expedite this process.
I wanted to ask you before I let you go, because I know you've got a whole busy day ahead of you, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk to you about your brand new brave book, Happy No Snakes Day. Give us a little bit about the book, why you chose this particular book and your title. I love it. Happy No Snakes Day.
Yeah, right.
Because I feel like that's all we've been talking about is snakes right now. I want a day without snakes, right? You know?
Totally. As I said, look, this is a children's book that really spreads the importance, the message of speaking the truth, despite being afraid. It's the Team Brave, right? The protagonists in the book, they're going through the forest. All these squirrels are there. They're out and they're playing, and they have these signs that say Happy No Snakes Day. They've been told, look, the snakes told them this is the one day each year that the snakes won't eat them. Turns out the snakes were lying to the squirrels so they could get them out of their home so they could eat them. Anyways, Team Brave decides to speak the truth to ultimately save the squirrels, even if it meant putting themselves in danger. That's the kind of messages our kids need to be taught. Pro-God, pro-family, pro-America messages. And I could not be more excited to partner with Brave Books. You can get your Brave book at bravebooks.com. And to be on with authors like you, it's really just an honor.
Well, I'm so proud that you're now a Brave Book author, and I'm so excited. My daughter loves your book. Like I said, we got it in the mail. She is so excited every time she gets a new book. And that's why I tell everybody out there, like, if you get a chance, you ordered this book. I'm actually ordering a set for a friend of mine, so that they can get every month. Is a gift,
Amazing.
For a birthday, whatever. But kids love it. They love it. They've got the maps. They're putting them up in their room. Look, we spend money on junk all the time for our kids. We might as well give them something that gives them roots, that teaches them life lessons and moral lessons. I'm going to leave you with the last word here. And by the way, if you guys think Disney is going to do anything good for your children, I'm just here to warn you. It's a disaster. It's a nightmare. That's why we canceled Disney Plus, because it's a horrible place for your kids to be. It's really not. I mean, they got to change things up. I love the old Disney movies. I just don't want my kids being bashed over the head with these woke ideologies. So last but not least, what can parents do to help you, Riley? What can we do, even if we're not parents? What can we do to help you, to help the movement, to get the word out so that more and more people can be brave enough to do the right thing?
Well, one, as consumers, what we can do and what we should be doing, as you just said, is stop giving your money to organizations that hate you, quite frankly, whether that's, any aspect, right? If we're talking about makeup, Ulta, don't go to Ulta. Don't go to Sephora. Don't go to Starbucks. Don't go to these companies that are putting your money into abortion clinics and Planned Parenthood and all these different places and organizations. I know over 2020, I think 75% of corporate companies were giving back to BLM. It's important to know these things because that's your money. We have the power as consumers to make a difference. And that's, of course, you hit them where it hurts, and that's their pockets. Right. Secondly, what parents can do is defend your daughters and teach your sons how to be strong men, strong boys.
I agree. Guys, get out there, teach your boys that it's okay to be a boy, that it's okay to be strong, and that it's okay to defend and help your young daughters and women in this world, and be there for your daughters. I think our daughters really need someone to defend them in this crazy, insane world that we live in now. And I'm so grateful that you're out there, Riley, being a role model for my daughter and everybody else's daughter out there. You're amazing. You're a true hero in my book. And not only in sports, but just as a human being and who you are inside and out. Thank you for being there. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Riley, for coming on the Sara Carter Show. You're fighting for such a worthy cause. And I just want you to know that the women of America are fighting with you. We won't give up that fight. Folks, Riley is now a member of the Brave Book family. This is a great way to educate your children as well, and giving them books that actually have morals and principles and values by fun and incredible authors. I'm one of them. And I wrote the book, The Amazing Club Awesome Sauce. I would love for you to get out there and grab that book as well. Remember, you can always join Brave Books and be a part of that family. Get a book every month. It's part of the Brave Book Club. I'm very excited to be a part of that as well. Please make sure you are subscribed to the Sara Carter Show on your favorite podcast app. Yes, it really helps us keep the show free, and it really gives us a boost in our algorithm. We want to keep bringing these shows and these great guests like Riley Gaines to you. If you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, give us a like and a follow as well. And thank you so much for being a part of my family. Follow me on Truth at Sara Carter Official, on X at Sara Carter DC, and on Instagram at SCarterDC. God bless you. God bless our daughters and our sons. God bless our nation. God bless common sense. God bless Riley Gaines, and God bless the great state of Texas.